Hey, welcome back to lesson 150 of Doodling with Purpose. Crazy, 150 lessons. Hope you're learning something by now, like, this guy is here. Bend at the knees, people, bend at the knees. All right, let's start off with our homework from last week, trying to incorporate a lot of vocabulary that we've been learning in the last, week. That's kind of the whole point of vocabulary building. And the first thing we're going to do, as always, is transliterate it, and this part of the class focusing on the actual pronunciation, using all of the right marks to indicate actual sounds. And the first word we have at the top is ta, which is man, with the determinative of a man sitting there. And what type of man is it? Well, we have were, the ren with the R mouth. That's a great man. And what is this great man doing? Well, with the mast and the arm and the determinative of movement, he is standing. A great man is standing. And where is he standing? Well, the papyrus leaf with N is by, in, and he's standing by, not in something, but he's standing by something, a mirror, with the determinative of a mirror there. And he is now using the present tense with the her, the face with the dash, meaning he is driving away. He is driving or was driving. Actually, it should be is. I wrote was. Should be is driving away. It's present tense. He's driving away lizards, and it's plural lizards. It's plural lizards because we have three strokes. Yes, that should be is driving away, not was. I don't know why I wrote was. It's not past tense. Okay, even your teacher can make mistakes. And since we have multiple lizards, and those lizards, where are they? Well, with the watermark N, it is the preposition in. So he's driving them in the road. And again, the road, because in Egyptian there are no articles, so we can actually add a few thes throughout this in order to create the full meaning of the sentence. So we'll sprinkle those thes around. So we have the great man standing by the mirror is, not was, driving away lizards, or the lizards, in the road. So, or it could be a mirror, a man. There's multiple ways to translate because, again, we're quite a few centuries, actually tens and tens of centuries away from this stuff. So, there's a little wishy-washy there. All right, let's move on to our next trilateral glyph. And this is the front part of a lion. I actually kind of drew the nose poorly. So this is pronounced hit, or at. The H is like a hiss, so at. And you'll see this actually quite a lot. It's used in a lot of words. Here's a common one, ha'ati. So you have ha'at, and then another T, and then the two angled dashed lines are a Y, followed by a determinative. Again, we always know that if it's an odd-looking glyph at the end, it's a determinative. And we have interesting echo effects here because since we're dealing with a trilateral, we can cancel out multiple sounds that repeat. So again, any sounds that are the same. Here we just have the T repeating. So we'll cancel out that second T, and this is the word for heart. And I should note that a lot of times the determinative for a heart is actually used for the word. So you'll see this quite often. In fact, it's on a very famous, used a lot in pop culture, where you see the heart and a feather being measured against each other. So yeah, that's a heart. All right. Now here we have a shorter word, ha'at, again with an extra T there, which we know that with the echo sound we'll be able to eliminate that. It's just to remind you of the last part of the trilateral sound, followed by a stroke line of a determinative, meaning a singular. This is the word for in front. And it's kind of easy to remember because this is the front part of a lion. And it's honestly used quite a lot. You'll see this. So for example, here we have ha'at nisit. So before the king. You'll see a lot of times, people are kneeling before the king, or, kneel before Zod, or, that kind of thing. All right. Next up, we have hikwa. Remembering that the K with the dot under it is like queen. It's a qu sound. The single sound version of this is the hill. So, forget about that little oops I drew there at the bottom. Your teacher's not doing very well today, is he? All right. So this is the word for a ruler. A ruler, meaning I firmly believe in the philosophy of a ruling class, especially because I rule. So you'll see this letter used in a lot of ruling words, like this one. So here we have Hqua. And interesting, we have the K, the Q version of the K, and the A also as a echo effect. So again, when we're dealing with trilateral sounds, you could have multiple sounds that get canceled out. And that's going to help remind you of the sound of that trilateral. Our determinative there at the end, you may recognize that as a royal person sitting, and it's actually important to note that this person only has the beard there, not the, I guess, the stroke line that indicates the cobra in the headdress, because this is a prince, not a king. The difference between a prince and a king would get that little cobra, that extra little stroke mark there, whereas a prince is not wearing a crown, he just has the beard glued on. And so, yeah, those were fake little beards that they put on. So, yes, that would be the difference in the determinative. All right, now here we have quat, and with the stroke line. And this, well, you'll actually see this one quite a lot too, because it's actually the word for what we're looking at. So, quat. We're not going to have any cancellations here because we don't have any repeats of sounds. This is the word for a scepter, which is what you're actually drawing. So you probably also recognize this one from pop culture because you pretty much see every pharaoh holding a whip and a scepter, which are the symbols of ruling and authority. The whip being authority and the scepter ruling. All right, again, scepter, hill, loaf, followed by what is clearly a determinative because we've never seen it before, and it's at the end of the word. So here, hikha, kat, and we also are going to, well, again, determinative. You don't recognize it. It's a grain measure. So pouring out grain from a jar is what you're looking at there. Kind of a fun little determinative to draw. All right. Next up in our trilaterals, we have a reed mat with a loaf on top, kind of like the T, which is a loaf, but this one's more, well, I guess, pyramidal, I guess. So this is chatip, chatip. It is used quite a lot in a lot of words. So here we have chatip tip, and you're going to probably already figure out that we have some echo effects and some reminder sounds that the last two sounds in the first glyph are T and P. So the extra T and P are added there in order to elongate the word if you have a longer amount of rock or papyrus that you're writing on. You could just write chatip, or you can have the extra loaf and the pool there. I'm sorry, the reed mat. Excuse me, the P is a reed mat. This is the word to be pleased, the verb. All right, another way of writing, obviously, in a more vertical manner. So here we have chatip to p, and interestingly, we have more echo effects in the middle, so an extra TP is going to cross off, but we will keep that last T because there's no echo effect on it. Once you remove the TP, that is the echo effect of the last two sounds of the trilateral, you're still left with a single sound. And this is the word for offering, which you will see just the reed mat with the loaf used a lot for offering because that's what it's representing. It's representing an offering of loaf on a mat. So a lot of times you'll just see this glyph. It's also used as an abbreviation. And a lot of times you'll see offering followed by what the offering is, such as birds, beer, and more loaves. Or alabaster is a common one, as is linen. So you'll often see that following chatip. All right. So here we have our homework for next week. We used a lot of the words from that we learned in the vocabulary this week, threw in a couple older ones, and go at it and keep doodling with purpose because, you know, learning hieroglyphics is a lot of fun. And that way when you're bored at work or school or, you know, in the jungle, wherever you do, you've got something to do. If you enjoy this class, please do share it with others. It's the best way to support this channel. And thank you for being part of it, because this class couldn't exist without you. And I love having you guys in class. Thank you very much, and we'll be back next week for more doodling with purpose. Thanks for watching.